means to descend or to flow down. You see what I'm saying? Meaning from the cosmos, and also what like to descend is an avatar. So it's an avatar for the real name. The name of God in Hebrew, one of the names of God in Hebrew, the utterable name is Adonai, Adni, which is in my first name. My first name has the words
Okay.
A-D-N, and then the J is an I. So I have Adonai in my name, and then Trey is three, like Trinity, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, and then Evans means son of the dove. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Okay. Well, what about you, Exurt? How far? What's the parallel? Like Exurt? How'd you come up with Exurt? Like Exurt beats? Like
That's a, that's real simple. A lot of my homies they had short names, so I wanted a smaller name. My name was my middle name and my last name. So then I just one day grabbed a dictionary and was like, well, I'm gonna open it up and point to a word, and whatever that word is, we're gonna work it out. So I opened the dictionary and pointed, and the word exert was there.
well, so how often is like the parallel between you and
I say the connection, the word means to put forth strenuous effort, extra effort, and I feel that's exactly what I do with everything
Yes.
as far as music goes, the production, the like. I'm always getting frustrated because like I'm always doing the extra steps, and then people coming to me want me to do things that I know they can do themselves, but they just don't want to take those extra steps to do it.
Yeah.
True that?
And that's and
I just
that's
saw
not a
Blonju.
coincidence. See, you see the parallels? Blonju's got a
Mm-hmm.
similar story. I'm gonna let him tell it, but you see the parallels of us getting names and they being equivalent to what we represent as a character, whether it's by us, someone else, or by chance, but none of it's random.
Mm-hmm.
You see how that worked? Like he just pointed and then I got the name from a random guy. You know what I'm saying?
What about you, Blonju?
Mhm. What about me? What are we talking about? I'm having
Well,
technical
we're
issues.
we're
Go.
talking about our we're talking about our names as far as like how what your name mean and how is it different from like your real name, your real birth name versus
Um.
are you Blonju most of the time or are you're Joshua
Oh.
most of the time?
I heard ExurtBeatz and I had to pop out. Then. So yeah. Yo, man. Forgive my non-video presence. I literally just sat down after a long day. But listen, I am always both, man. Like the Blonju. My voice is a little gone because I just sang on stage. But both. Like Josh and the Blonju are the same person. So like I don't really, you know, as whatever I do that's entertaining, just so happens to be entertaining. Like when I was given the name, it was about the fact that's kind of ironic. I'm a blonde Jewish person, but I'm a lot deeper than the surface. So it's like, I've got a superficial name, but then I spell it, as one word because I wasn't raised religious. I was raised with the golden rule. And, you know, it's all about not having to put a front on or not having to put on in terms of what I do. So I go from being myself to being myself, whatever that entails in the moment. It's all of life, it's all of music, and it's none of it at the same time. So, my persona is just to connect to the conversation and then have this conversation repeatedly because it can never really be said enough because we're always in the process of applying and not applying and then like winning. It's not about winning, it's about being. So um the older I get, the more I can embody that. And it's not really about the name or even my birth name or my rap name, but I understand that's part of the narrative of translating the experience, more than a particular message, and the experience being. It's like how much can you be yourself without quantifying it? So, we're here and we have these conversations. So yeah, I love that question. It's always you get to know a lot about a person when they tell you what their rap name means.
Do you remember how you got your name?
Of course, man. The Bo G, man. Props to the Bo G. The Bo G is my soulmate male friend from Vanderbilt. We made friends as freshmen at Vanderbilt a long time ago, and he was calling me the Blonju before I even took the name. Like, he called me Blonju, and I'd be like, I don't have enough pain in my life to be a rapper. Like, I might rap one day. I love rapping Outkast lyrics. I rapped every, Nas song, every Biggie song, every Pac song. Like, I grew up in the 90s, so I was great at karaoke rapping, but I didn't feel like, I had a place to speak. So I blew out my knee playing college basketball my summer going into sophomore year, and I basically went up to Vanderbilt on crutches, and Bo G and I had a really deep weekend. We kind of figured out some things about ourselves and the universe, and I took the name October of 1999. So, it was waiting for me. It was a, perspective shift. I didn't change anything internally as much as just became more hyper aware of my place in the universe, my empath side, and, the wisdom I could bring, from this experiential perspective to music and through music. So, I started for the right reasons, and I pretty much held to that standard these last 20 plus years of just it's each one teach one. Every little message or every little conversation is as important as having 10 million fans or whatever it is. So I've stuck to my non-guns, and props to the Bo G. He's still one of my closest friends on the earth plane right now, and he lives in Chicago, and we chop it up here and there, and we still talk about music and philosophy and everything under the sun. Genesis is aware of the Bo G. He understands the Bo G's impact in my life, and it's just been going and growing since then. A lot of wrong and right turns all at the same time. The wrongs were the rights, and the rights were some wrongs. So I'm still here and doing whatever we can with this bodily experience.
Dope. You remember how you got your name, Exurt? Who gave it to you? Or you just did it yourself?
Like I literally said, open the dictionary, pointed at it, Exurt.
Oh,
that's what it was.
I love that.
So I just looked at it. I might change the spelling a little bit, but other than that, it was pretty good, pretty simple, straight to the point.
As far as mine, I remember how my how did I get mine? Oh, how I got mine was 1990.
Wow, you've been Kaushun for that long?
Yeah, I was Kaushun. I was Johnny Morales up to 1990. I started in DJing in '89, but 1990 is when I got my name. And I remember the guy's name, Jason Diop. What's up, Jason? Yeah, Jason Diop. He works for. I don't know if he's still at Aftermath, but he's worked for Aftermath now. But we were high school. He went to high school together and shit. And he called me, like, we saw Kaushun tape, and like he wanted me to call Kaushun. I just don't like the spelling though. I didn't want to just be so.
I love your.
I didn't want to be. I didn't want to be like just some typical ass dude with some, because you're normally, as a DJ, you normally get your name. Someone gives you your name. That's how it usually goes. And so I spelled it with a K, and then I changed it, and then the whole Master of Sound thing, how that came about was my daughter, and for her friend, she's like, you do sound so good. You got to be like Mixmaster Mike, and master this and this and this, and then Mixmaster Mike judged the contest, the ITF International Turntable Federation, in 2000. I think it was 2006 or something like that, in Stockton, California, and so we were just chopping it up, and that's how it wasn't kind of given to me. I kind of just fell upon it like that. I just kind of just put those two and two together, and that's how it kind of came to be.
Dope. That's crazy.
There you go. So
did we already get
that being said,
backstory? Did I miss Genesis's backstory?
I think you did. I'm gonna be on the cuts for a minute, guys. So go ahead and embark on the journey while I'll start playing some cutting and scratching some beats real quick.
He just gave me a line. He just gave me a line.
Who did?
Who did?
He did. I'm gonna say you did.
Jew did.
Yeah.
Who did? Jew did. What's the line? Speak.
Oh, he said embark, and I was thinking about a tree. So I'm like, I embark on the path like a tree.
Nice. I don't know if I've ever heard anybody say that. It's so obvious.
Hey, real quick, big shout outs to Blonju and Exurt for knocking out these beats that I'm playing.
Love it. Little sample craziness.
Yeah.
What's been up with you guys? How much did I miss?
Honestly, I said we started around 5. I probably went live 5-10 minutes after that in the middle of Jen talking.
Got you.
So you didn't really miss too much.
What is the word? Did you guys talk any more Genesis and ExurtBeatz about last week's conversation? Exurt, how are you feeling, bro?
Oh, I'm feeling good. I mean, everything so far so good. Just on the playing the waiting game for an appointment.
Yeah, did you have a good week this week?
Yeah, so this week was great.
Hey, real quick though,
Yo.
on the shows, I've been posting them, but it seems like the shows don't post until I post the next show. So when I post this show, I think last week's show is gonna post.
I was wondering about episode 4, yeah, because I know
episode 4. I already uploaded it. It just hasn't. They haven't posted it yet.
Okay.
So
I was wondering about that.
I think it's so. It seems like it's gonna go 2 episodes every other week. It looks like they're gonna be posted. So it'll still be up to date. It'll just be 2 shows.
Yeah, because we piloting episode 5 right now, huh, guys?
Yes, sir. So episode 4 and 5 will be up once this is over. That's weird. They did that same thing last week though, like the week before last.
Oh, okay. I hadn't been following in the beginning, and now I've been checking.
On 2 and 3, episode 2 and 3 posted like that.
Got you.
So if the trend continues, then 4 and 5 will do the same.
Hey, it's such blessings, guys. You know, when you can talk about nothing and, you know, create a platform and create a, you know, it's like a non-open void. Like, you know, it's really, we don't even know how and when it could impact people. Like, even if it, I don't know. It's just, it's a great thing to be able to have an open forum and have conversations, whether, you know, there's a goal in mind or not. Like, the intent is pure, and I got a lot on my mind. I feel
what's been up with you, bro? Sorry for your whatever you were going through. I heard you had to go to the funeral. RIP. Respect.
Yeah, man, it was a good music sister friend of mine in her mid-50s. She has been a queen of Atlanta the last like 20 years. Like, her and my late father knew each other well. But Lola Gully, I mean, I performed with her on numerous occasions, double-figure times performing with her. She was at my 40th birthday party a couple years ago at Northside Tavern, which is where I just was. I just came from singing in front of, you know, her friends and family, and just kind of sharing in communion, because that's how we do it down here. You know, when people leave the body, we tend to try to celebrate and have parties, not traditional funerals. So I go to a lot of music events that are, you know, celebration of life or that type of thing. I actually am going to Northside Tavern again 2 weeks from yesterday, April the 23rd, in honor of Carlos Capote, who was a harmonica player that I've known for 20 plus years as well. So I'll actually be there singing again 13 days from now. But it's like, you know, all of it is like pushing you. It's like, you know, vibrations. You know, death isn't really anything more than a bodily, you know, change, you know, of energy. So you know, as sad as it can be, as much as it invokes a lot of human visceral emotions, it's something that also pushes me and drives me, you know, just to continue doing what we do. And that's having open-ended conversations and making sure that these type of painful topics aren't taboo. You know, it's something, there's no right or wrong way to feel. So, you know, I'm not in my feels per se as much as just feeling a lot, you know, and finding a way to not quite balance it all, but, you know, cycle the energy and, you know, let it flow, man. You know, it's like if you got some pain, like we talked about last week with Exurt, it's like you got to kind of run towards the unknown. You can't dilly dally in the unknown. You know, mirroring it. You know, you not to say you know it, but you know, I do my best to hug the unknown, and you know, it's like hug your friends, hug your enemies, like, you know, give a kiss to your haters. I said this earlier today. You know, like, I don't know. I don't have time to wallow, you know, or feel one way too long. So I'm definitely going to embody the suffering and turn it, you know, transmute it into art and communion. And that's what those people that leave usually want, you know, the will of those that leave us. Generally, they're like, hey, don't be sad. You know, I'm hugging you in spirit. Be the best you can be. So, you know, easier said than done. Every day is a challenge. And, you know, I'm extra introspective right now and staying as aware as possible, non-quantifiably speaking. But, you know, I feel okay. I always say, like, we're more okay. Like, don't get too high or too low. Like, we're more okay than we think when things are falling apart, and we're never as great as we think when things are great. You know, it's like you kind of dance in that neutral +1 area all the time. So
hey, I got a question for you guys. You guys believe in deja vu? You think that's
of course
real?
That's a good start. Where are we going with that?
Don't
Yeah,
know.
of course it's real.
What do you think it's from? I mean, what do you think generates that? I mean, what is that?
Let's get Jen to generate something on that. It's interesting because
I mean, I trip on that.
So I want to hear what Jen thinks before. I'd like to hear Jen's opinion, and then I'll give it a 1-minute summary after Jen speaks.
I would say
yeah,
it's a combination of things. You know what I mean? Like, and you can't say it's one. You can't necessarily say it's one or the other without knowing exactly. But for example, you could say that it's not okay. So it's not necessarily something that you've seen happening or something that has happened. It could be something from your memory that reminded you, was like a trigger. You know what I mean? And that's one scenario where that's how, and that's probably how a scientist would explain it. You see what I'm saying? But then you have the quantum aspect of entangling to all possibilities and you being able to tap into something that's possible or something that is going to happen. You see what I'm saying? And then another thing is you have a download which would then influence that ability. You know what I mean? And it's not like your memory's not working with it too. So it's like your memory is how you recognize things. So it's like I said, it's like a combination of things, and sometimes we identify it as either this or that or that or this, but really it's just like a summation of qualities, and it's relative to what you're actually seeing. Are you actually seeing something that you thought you seen but didn't, and you just didn't properly recognize? Or are you in tune and you did see some stuff but it was a possibility? Or was it something that you were in tune with and it wasn't just a possibility, it was something that was going to happen? You see what I'm saying?
That is where my brain is limited on. I'm trying to figure that out. Like, is it something I experienced already, or is it something that I haven't experienced?
Well, the reality is, that's my point. If you have, quick, if you feel like And I was going to say that, but I didn't. If you feel like you've experienced it before, you have to realize that if it's not just a possibility and something that you're thinking in your head, but it's something that is actually going to happen, or something that could happen but doesn't happen because you change what you're doing in the moment because you're aware of what could happen. You see what I'm saying?
Well,
Either
in
way,
theory, isn't it? Didn't you already experience it? Just not.
that's my
yet?
point. That's what I'm getting to.
Okay.
The reality is you would have experienced it from that standpoint, because technically everything exists at the same time. So you might be in tune with the timeline. That's what transcendence is being aware of the timeline and being able to, and you can only achieve that either, minutely under the influence of some type of stimulant, or when you actually transcend and you reach optimal functionality, or what they call equivalence of form, where you're able to biologically equip yourself to be the properly attuned vessel to optimize itself and tap into that ultimate reality still existing on a finite scale.
Does the string theory have anything to do with that? Does that apply to that? I was reading.
Well, I mean, if string theory is real, then I would say yes. But we know quantum mechanics is real, and quantum entanglement is real, and you're entangling with a future reality that actually exists in the now, and you're just experiencing the timeline, and you're perceiving it from a futuristic standpoint. So the human cerebral cortex, or the human brain and its frontal lobes and its ability to tap into those realities, it's picking up on the data from an intuitive sense, like a gut feeling through your vagus nerve. It's picking up on this intuitive inclination towards nature's natural timeline, and then your brain's ability to see into the future. It starts conjuring these images by tapping into it and then being aware of it. Or it could be subconscious. You know what I mean? Like you could have stuff happen in dreams that comes to you when you're in your sleep, and your brainwave patterns are in a different frequency, and it's not primarily circulated. Blood's not primarily, and energy is not primarily circulated to a certain region. So you're still perceiving the data, and it's going through the necessary channels, but maybe you're not consciously aware of it. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Break it down. What about you, Blonju?
I want to get this beat after the show emailed.
Okay.
Yo, it's like, imagine, take it from the opposite end of, like, imagine everyone's an empath and everybody could experience what everybody's experiencing at all times across timelines. So deja vu to me is like a hint at some spiritual awareness or knowledge, or some more zoomed out and zoomed in experience, maybe without being entirely tuned into that zoomed out perspective. So everything has both happened and not happened. You both experienced it all and not at all. So everything is going to be familiar. I would actually say everything is both deja vu and not deja vu, because it's all happening simultaneously. So
that's mind-blowing.
That makes a lot of sense.
Well, I mean, I'm glad it makes sense to you guys. Like, it goes back to some of what we talked about in the first couple weeks of, like, transcending duality, not attaching negative, and, like, think about it instead of future and past, like forward and back, think about it as future and past sideways. Think about an infinite sliding scale instead of
like parallel.
So right, and infinite parallel timelines, and not even to say it doesn't need to be real. It doesn't, well, of course, it doesn't actually need to be real for it to logically make sense and explain the feeling, the gut feeling that we're all trying to, explain a little bit clearer, but, like, the hypothetical is enough, like, for me even. Like, I don't need to believe what I'm even saying to conceive of it, imagine it, apply it, and then live it. It's like, be it. I have a relative amount of only relative free will to this, bodily experience, but on an ultimate level, it's all, you can feel it. I can feel that I'm destined to do everything I do. Like, I can't truly control what I say and do, and I'm not absolving myself of action that might be negative, as much as
because there's still consequences.
Right, and cause and effect, but I'm putting it into perspective in a way where imagine me just now explaining that, and then infinite me's doing infinite slightly different things, and I can feel all of that, you know, hypothetically happening. So, you know, it's not about believing
And literally,
in ultimate
it
reality.
ain't just. It's not just
it's about
hypothetically. It's literally like you know, like let them know, like
well,
we were saying that to save face, but the reality is you're literally filling those timelines as well because you're that in tune with it.
Of course, and I'm not taking away the literal by saving face.
So, hey, with that being said, are we in control of our future? Are we in control? With that being said.
So I mean, Jen's gonna. I would say we have like 0.01% control, and that's the little relative free will I'm talking about. But we don't really have much control. Like we're driving
of our lives.
Everybody's the pilot, and nobody knows how to fucking drive. Like that's what's going on.
That makes sense.
And you know, go outside and drive in a car, and you'll feel that way. Like I always joke. I tell people, I'm like, look, when I'm in the car, that's when you can see what a visceral bodily experience this is for me, because I literally curse and bless every single person on the road. Like that's humans kind of doing their human thing. And I don't mean it. I don't mean to not possess myself as a human in quotes, but like I'm identifying as human and non-human. You know, I'm not gonna seclude myself to that narrative, feel that limited, and not also, like we said just a second ago, imagine these literal infinite realities and do it for the sake of perspective, you know, and then your experience becomes, you know, a more full being, you know, and relative to this earthly dense, you know, a lot of bullshit that's going on. So you can still connect, not attach, and experience, even if you've experienced it before. It will always feel new and old at the same time if you really are doing it the most efficiently. And I don't like using quantifiable words, but if you're doing it as efficiently as you can be aware of, you know, for lack of a better phrase. And I'm only saying these things because these are, you know, it's kind of heed your own advice. Like these are the things that I'm, you know, the dialogue in my gut, you know, for not saying my brain or my heart, but my brain and heart are always listening to my gut. And, you know, that is also our gut and our brains and hearts. So, you know, we hear, there's no answer. I don't have an answer. I'm just experiencing and being the best I can.
That's how we're gonna take it.
Forgive me. Yeah, one day at a time, 1 hour at a time, 1 second at a time, if you got to.
Growth over negative energy.
There you go. I love that. I love that acronym right there. It reminds me of Conti. Shout out Conti. Keep opportunity near through endless effort. You know, you keep trying, like, you know, and that even when you're not trying the most, even when you're the laziest, even, you know, you can be at your bottom of the bottom barrel, you know, feeling completely hollow, and like you're still trying a little bit, you know. It's like no one ever lets go. You can kill yourself and you're still trying, like you're still trying in spirit. You're trying to get somewhere else. Like, and I'm not condoning suicide, and, you know, as much as identifying and empathizing with that pain of, like, you know, I'm trying. That was the best they could do. You know, it's like, forgive. You got to forgive yourself. You got to forgive some of the worst atrocities sometimes to really, you know, get yourself in a space to heal. And healing isn't a static moment either. Healing is a process and not a goal.
Yeah,
you know,
definitely.
it's like we're always healing. Like you're not healed. You know, if you say you're healed, you're probably asking for it. Relatively speaking, you can be healed. And again, I'm all for, you know.
I mean, the only way to truly be healed,
physically. Like mentally, physically, I mean,
every type of
I'm
healing.
talking every way, Kaushun, every way.
Okay.
The only true way to be healed, and this is the small percentile because it's a pyramidal construct, meaning there's fewer people at the top achieving it at any given era. So the true state of healing is detachment, because then at that point it doesn't matter what happens to your body. You're just able to witness the experience and appreciate it and have reverence for it, no matter what it is. If you don't have that perspective, then sickness is real to you. Sickness is only real to us because we believe it exists. And I know that sounds like cliche, but the reality is the all is mind, the universe is mental. And it's a matter of perspective, and that perspective has to be detached for you to truly have perspective. Because if not, your perspective is always going to be skewed by some type of stimulation and some type of reaction that occurs, and then you being attached to the reaction. Right. You know what I mean?
And the why, it reminds me of why me, because a lot of people are always why me, why me, why me. And of course, I've had a particular time in my life where I would say why me 50 million times. I'm like, you know, it's not selfish to accept pain and heal from it. It's more selfish to run from it and act detached from that narrative. Like I don't, you can experience infinite being and you can only be, you know, technically more experienced for it. You know, why would you not see what you can do in the most crucial situation? Like, and I don't know, it's acceptance. It always goes back to acceptance. And that's very difficult because nobody wants pain. Nobody wants to die. Nobody, you know, wants to suffer. But there's value in all of those experiences. There's going to be value, you know, for that perspective to zoom out and find an awareness and a connection to that trauma, to transcend it and transmute it. There's no other way, you know, when we're stuck in these bodies and these narratives, other than through, you know, through the language, through the pain, you know, and you can't take shit with you from here. So, you know, do as much as you can while you're here, or not. And either way, we'll be all right.
I got a question. Do you think I'm gonna switch subjects? As far as like,
I love your questioning lines, Kaushun. You're real good at this. We've not even had any plans, and you've done a great job.
No, I'm just like, these are the food for thought. Things that have been in my head.
Missed you last week.
Oh, missed you guys too, man.
Yeah,
it's all good now. But I want to switch the subjects. Distribution. Where are we? I mean, with being an independent artist versus getting big money. You know, like as far as like, you know, big labels versus independent artists. What's the dip? I mean, I get people ask me, how come you make a living from it? I'm like, man, I don't recommend it. That's just me. I mean, I do it because I love it, but I don't know. Where you guys at with that?
I mean, what you talking about, getting our music out there on an independent level?
I'm talking about as far as like, I mean, you can make it as an independent artist, making a living, but it's just a lot harder. At least in my opinion, it is. I mean, versus the state of it. Nicki Minaj versus say like myself. She has the money to do the marketing. Me, I don't. But we're still on all the same platforms. You know, so I mean,
well, I would say we're all all four of us are doing it as right as we can do it, given the context of the scenario.
Yes,
you know, shout out to the Long Road Show on Instagram on @ProdByDin, his page, Wednesday nights at 8. But it's a long road. Like, you know, I've had some shortcut opportunities that I passed up, and I'm glad I did. You know, I have no regrets in terms of opportunities I've had to maybe shorten the road a little bit, because, you know, it's about doing it on your own terms and doing it, like you said, for the love, Kaushun. Like, if you're doing it for the love and you do it long enough and consistently enough, you never know what can happen.
What can transpire.
I think these days, the way we're all moving, where we just make as much as we can, put it out there, doing things like this, you know, everything going back to kind of like myself, my innermost being my brand, you know, just act, you know, and sometimes that is a conversation. We're talking, so there's like a ironic, oxymoronic meaning in there, an entendre about, you know, talking being action in this scenario. But you know, we can't compete. We're not on that level. We're not a part of the machine. We're raging against the machine. So you know, we're gonna hit a lot of we're gonna hit a lot of speed bumps and obstacles and pitfalls, and you know, we face a lot trying to compete. It's like David versus Goliath, or you know, the industry's Godzilla, and we just, you know, walking around under Godzilla's feet. But like all that, you know, being said, those entities were toppled. I mean, anything is possible. So we don't need to bring down the industry either to share in the perspective of artistic communion. So you know, it's to each his own. I think when we can be heard and respected, you know, I think it'll begat some energy shift for sure. But we are still on that long road, and still doing what we can to not take some sort of shortcut.
Turn that beat up
and sell out. What is that?
I want to hear that beat too. I want to hear that beat, man. Before
that
yes,
like some Dr. Dre shit.
Yeah. Whose beat is that?
That's me.
Yeah. We're gonna need that.
That one's gone.
I love this show.
That was mine.
That's nasty. Check it.
Nasty.
Walk the track like a tree. My math is elite. MC, master degree. I mastered the feat. Beyond will, I'm practically free. I'm beyond real. I'm giving out dreams.
Yeah, living out dreams.
I wish I could bless him.
Oh man, that's so crazy.
Am I sending this to you, God?
You said what?
I'm gonna do my.
Am I sending this to you?
I'm gonna do my push-ups.
Oh yeah, please.
Okay.
I'm a conduit, not a conduit. Star fluid flow through my veins. The bitter parts of them arm movement. Lift up the barrel to paint the cartridge. Feel full of saints. Now that's a star shooter. Mark tumors with a Reiki symbol. Then I start soothing. Sitting lotus style in front of a car moving. Stop a shark from eating in the tank like I'm Mark Cuban with a Cuban cigar. Filled full of tar glue and psychedelics. Pineal guarded by the gargoyles. Hard boil. Cosmic egg in the dark soil. Part of me. Make the sun dark like a sharp. Part the sea, staring at the gate of the bar portal. My words are magical formulas that I spark for you. I serve the abbots of life, now let it dawn on you. Proverbs in the eye of the life, they go beyond mortal. I land on the planet precise, and then it starts forming.
Ooh.
That
right there. My Lord.
Yo.
Somebody help me.
Let me show you the boogeyman. I eat the powder. Mono-atomic gold when I took a shower. Bless my flesh covered in sweat. Every muscle that he flex, he invested the best power. Only see the will as a test. Childish, cause I remain a bait to the breast. Powers, holy as the covetous text. Down in, most time I cover this sex. But I'm climbing out the box like I hopped out of chest. And I'm talking with my pole like it came with a net. That means I'm rhyming with a Glock cause it came with a vest. And my brain so inflamed can't be contained. Yo, I switch flows like I'm changing your dress. I'm not opposed to y'all changing your sex. I understand life, that's why they put my name on the desk. I slam mics and tie them to the sun on the deck. I make universes collide and come to reset. Contradictive, but you can't contradict what he said. This is different. Don't only be prolific when dead. Make them listen. I'ma start shaving their heads. Doesn't matter if you have locks or shaking their heads. My ravens are fled. I'll meet you at the Amens at rest. Proud. You could put my name on a check. Style. Like I made it with tech. You're an agent, a sentient being at best. I'm a savior. I'ma teach saving the self. I get deeper than anything you saved on the shelf. I'm the reaper. You can only meet when you dead.
Damn, man.
Play the violin with the hearts in the hands of a higher plan. In the choir next to the desires right beside the band. On your mark, get ready, I'm about to fry your glands. If I start this deadly, you could die again. After the first verse, I had to try his friends, eat your brain whole, just like I'm trying plants. Now that's an egg roll. Without the steak and shrimp, break a leg. While I'm chilling, about to take my stance. I could break your arm if I shake your hands. They sounded the alarm like I'm breaking in. I was raised on a farm, so I'm chasing pigs. And I don't identify with relationship. I'm shooting cannon fodder at relationships. And smoking on the bottom like I made a split. You can play with fire, but you made of sticks. I'm waking up the father just to save his kids. I turn him on the side, then display the ribs. I don't have to lie just to make it rich. I'm making sense.
Nasty, bro. Nasty.
Fire, man.
Insane. Like, we about to break a leg. Shake a leg, steak an egg. They ain't see the cake and bag. Let them eat the cake and stay. Look for kegs like they pray for the same instead. They don't see the same, let them check your head. Bless the dead, God bless the fucking red. Yeah, we stay often stuck in dead. Y'all know it's just enough of what we said before if we cut the heads straight off of the plate before they collect it. One more time instead, we said it, accept it, acceptance. You know we stay blessed with it. So off the correction, auto-corrected. They see one time, we caught it, audible called it, so they could see it when we reject it. Straight off the same, the plain chain brain, mainframe, direction. You know, I've been on the same resurrection. From one time before, 2 times, they stay elected. Look for the shady votes, insane blessing. I'm off the name, no name, no name, no name, no frame. Mind frame, no game, no game, no change. I change. Look for that third eye. It might stay inside like you deciphered. The mic cord is broken. I keep enlightened. One time, I poured a token. Change the mindset so they can see straight inside. We all align with. One more time before they see the mind is. Part of the heart to open stone they blinded. One more time so they see. I keep that same change inside it. No outside the boxes. People straight rock the same hot shit. Y'all don't really know, cause all y'all do is play knock jokes like they was not to knock shit. I'm auto. I'm autopilot, got chop with chop shit. Rock too hard so they can see the diamond. You know what it was.
Yeah,
You know
check
what
it.
it is.
Yeah, Blonju. Genesis to God.
God.
Yo. I'm Moshe out the Nile, I'm a basket case. Ankin and I cock it, you the master's bait. Call me Norman, I tell more, I have to say. But I only talk to myself like Castaway. And my soul hungry for God, I fast and pray, but I am God, so no light can mask my shade. Clapping without a pause, that's a gun shell at a rapid pace. Plow, plaster safe. Put my dick in balls in a rapper's face. You ain't sick at all, I just passed away. Make them diddy pop in the street when I pass the mace. Cold web, they will burn with a splash of rain. No bet, my blood purple when it passed the vein. Metal alloys got bars just ass the bank. Let a soundboard, hearing what I have to say, that sound choice. The reason why they passed away. Yeah. I act how I wanna and snatch the actor off the corner like they drafted from Warner. Why in our order, stretching limits and borders. Don't get your image distorted the minute you recorded. When I was born, was anointed right like I'm double jointed. My life a recording, you just watching me sorted. Flow ill like I puke on the chorus. Gold wheels as I'm turning the corner. Cold steel, you gon' get what you wanna.
Yeah. That's true.
God. Blonju. The God. Gone. We are gone, everybody.
Yo.
ExurtBeatz, baby.
But anyways, man, that was. It's a blessing though, man. All 4 of us do music, able to do what we do. You know.
Hey, we just, Exurt and Kaushun, like y'all y'all hit us at the right time. Like when I heard what y'all were planning, I immediately wanted to bring Jen in. So,
Yeah.
you know,
You guys,
just glad to be
believe
here.
in reincarnation?
I mean, that's a no-brainer.
I say yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you know, there's definitely a level of that happening. I wouldn't say I could explain it to a T.
I can't explain it either, but I believe it has to.
Jen's probably got some major you know, Kabbalion insight to that.
I mean, for me, I would think that it would just be a waste. I mean, it has to be more. It's like making making music, and then it's like, I don't know. It just seemed like there's more to this, and than just what. I just have a hard time believing.
Well,
that
I mean, you know, is the question, is there life after death, or is the question, are we reincarnating? Like, some of us are reincarnating for sure. Well,
I guess there's a difference. I guess there's a difference.
It depends on our path. I mean, you're looking at population growth. Like, how do you reincarnate? Like, who do you reincarnate as? Are you always a human? You know, like.
Well, here's the thing. Wouldn't that be kind of suck if you had that memory from your past life? And then you miss it.
It happens regularly. You'll hear people telling stories from their past lives. It happens regularly if you tune in and listen to. In the last 20, 30 years, multiple kids have been born. I've seen most of these stories came out of Europe. I guess Europe's a little, you know, less tight on their media, but I'm sure it happens all the time. But kids that are 2, 3, 5 years old, you know, explaining things that happened 50, 60, 80 years ago, once they get to talking and remembering. And, you know, that is, I don't have names or websites I'm going to quote right now, but if you go out there and dig, you're gonna see physical proof of it, and you're going to hear it.
And most of it is going to be in areas where there's less influence of, like, you know, like there's less influence of bad air, bad water, bad food, bad products, bad, you know, social media being consumed by materialism. Like that right there distracts us collectively in the United States, at least in general, from having that. Because if we had that more often, you would have more people like scientists and stuff having it, and then having to scientifically verify it. And being exactly. You know, so it's like, you know what I mean? Like, and the more involved you are in materialism, the more shut off you become. From the universal imprint on your consciousness. Like, we're not attached to the universe. We are a continuation of the universe. So we are the universe. We are literally a byproduct of the universe unfolding. So how could we not be connected to the infinitude of everything that it represents?
So like when we're done, we're just gonna go into another body or another whatever. I don't know how to even explain that. But
well, that's a simplification of it. But you have people who actually study it. Like you have people who can leave their bodies and have mapped out the universe, relativistically speaking, like within our own solar system.
Do you have
like remote viewers? Say that again, Kaushun.
Yeah, you have anything that we can refer to, like something that we can read, some literature?
A lot.
Something I can refer to that I can maybe read on, that you guys are reading.
I mean, if I was gonna advise somebody to read anything, I'd start with the Kabbalion first.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
That's dope.
I'd start with that.
Okay.
Because honestly, a lot of it is gonna make a lot more sense if you could just realize the principle of mentalism. Like if you realize the principle of mentalism, then you'll start to realize that you can't be disconnected, that the all is mind, that when they talk about the observational effect of us observing an electron or an atom and it changing how it functions based upon us observing it, that alone says the all is mind, the universe is mental. It's mentalism. It's simple. The ancients knew that. They knew that they could manipulate matter with their minds because it's energy. They're all connected. It's a singularity. We divide it prospectively.
You know, Exurt and I were talking earlier that humans were living a lot longer What we're talking about, like 900. What was it, Exurt? What were you saying?
No, we're just talking about the beginning. I mentioned that
Okay.
people were living like 900 years old and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, how the hell is that? I mean, what's changed? Would you say the diet, our diets, or?
I would say like, what changed probably from then. I mean, is obviously what we eat. Our diet's definitely food that we have now. We didn't have then.
I would say that it's a lot deeper than just that. That's like the most,
that's more like literally first layer, but there's so much more.
yes, exactly. Like the first thing. Tell him to turn that beat down a little bit so I can hear you guys' vocals.
Mm-hmm. That better?
You good? You there? Okay.
Yeah.
You good?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
That beat right there is hot too. Now, I would say that even if we were to decrease the amount of things that we take in that are inimical to our body, it would still not greatly reduce our lifespans. You know what I mean? Like, not to the point where we're living hundreds and hundreds of years. Like, that's something that has to happen on a genetic scale or a genomic scale.
I was also talking about like just the atmosphere and the surroundings. I mean, there wouldn't, all the cars, all these.
I mean, all of those things contribute to it, but it's more.
Yeah.
It's still more than that. Like you guys just open a can of worms by having that conversation.
Yeah, it's several cans of worms. There's a lot of good stuff out there on the topic. A lot of it kind of starts with near-death experiences, and people sort of remembering a larger perspective, when they almost die and then come back to their bodies. They basically die and come back to their bodies. So, I don't want to describe too much. It's kind of, everybody's journey is equal in nature, different in degree. It's not worth more or less. So, using some of Jen's words there, and they're not Jen's words, they're all of our words, but if you tune in and do a little research, you really don't. There's no wrong place to start with it. So, it kind of gives you meaning beyond elementary religious texts. And I don't know if the Cabal is necessarily where people should start. There's some pretty basic stuff on it if you just Google around. As I was looking, Richard Moody wrote a book about near-death experiences in 1975 called Life After Life. I have some experience with that book just from my college days, but it's pretty much just near-death experiences, quantifying them scientifically, analyzing them, and taking people's personal narratives as scientific evidence. And I think that's a big gap in terms of, like what Jen was saying, American culture, materialism in general. We devalue the human narrative, so we don't use, it goes back to like the UFO topic, there's no evidence. Everybody's always like, there's no evidence, but we distrust ourselves so much that, we haven't been able to take narrative into account. And I think reincarnation especially fits in that category of something that you've really got to delve deep into the psyche. You got to listen to each other and keep an open mind. I think it's not about like-mindedness as much as open-mindedness. And even the most closed-minded person could have a slight open mind about something with the right nudge or the right narrative or the right, physiological experience. So, I can't speak about it too specifically. It's, of course, it's a basic answer is yes, but in terms of cycling back around to a blueprint of what's really going on, I think that's for all of us to collectively decipher and sort of will ourselves to a grander awareness or clarity. And it's okay. I think
the question is, we have to
fun.
ask the right questions. We have to ask the right questions. So here's a question: is it possible for the human body to extend its longevity indefinitely? You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
And science Science would say yes. Like they've even done lab rats where they've epigenetically modified them based upon the environmental conditions, and they were able to watch them increase the length of their telomeres. And they can voluntarily do this as well. They can do this genetically. They can go in and tamper with your DNA, and they can enable your DNA to increase the length of the telomere. So when the cell divides, it doesn't have a general lifespan of 120 years, which is around about where the telomeres cease to, they get so short that they no longer divide. So, you know what I mean? Like in the Bible, it says man's life will be up to 120 years. Well, just so happened that in a laboratory, that's when the telomeres stop dividing, theoretically. So they can induce this, and it can happen either naturally through an environment, and the changing of your mind, certain meditative techniques, certain foods, you know what I mean, purified water, you know what I mean, a more alkaline like diet, you know what I'm saying, like healthy habits. All of these things can increase the lifespan by producing the enzymes to help facilitate the lengthening of the telomere. So technically it's possible, and they're going to be doing it. Like this is technology they're going to be doing in the future, not too far from now, where people are going to be living long again like they used to. Now, back to the biblical standpoint, some of these numbers are symbolic. Some of these situations are actually literal and symbolic, where a person did live this long, but it's also symbolic to like his path, or the gematria, the numerical value of how old he was equals a number that corresponds to a stage of consciousness. You see what I'm saying? Now, if we corrected everything, and we had better air, better water, better food, better mindset, unless you had reached the point where you were able to consciously do all of these things, and even in a negative setting with negative air, you can still do it both ways. But immortality, they say there's 2 types or 3 types of immortality. One is extending the lifespan of the body. One is the fact that you are immortal and you'll reincarnate. The other one is that your soul becomes immortalized and you become completely detached, and then you're able to reincarnate consciously as an avatar. You see what I'm saying? And he may be physically immortal. He may not be physically immortal. He may be immortal and his lifespan is shortened by some type of disease that was given to him, based upon his incarnation and the fact that his biological clock had to stop ticking at a specific time because it supports and facilitates the mission. Or someone kills him. That's what happens a lot. A lot of these dudes, if they would have never assassinated or hung up on a cross or whatever, they would have lived for hundreds of years because they had reached a state of biology, spiritually speaking and physically speaking, where they were able to elongate the process. This happens overseas all the time. We just don't hear about it, and it sounds like bullshit when we hear it because of how we've heard everything that's been propagated. The information that's propagated allows for the illusion of materiality and atheism to exist. You know what I mean? Even though you have pockets of people who believe, they still believe, they don't know. They don't study the scripture in other languages and stuff like that. And if they do, it's normally not with an open mind. A pastor could learn Hebrew all day, but that doesn't mean he understands Kabbalah. He may understand the physical aspect of the literature itself, but he's not taking into account all the different facets of it and what these things mean and how these things applied. And then going back to what I was saying, all of these people in general weren't living, I would say, to be that old. And if they were, then they were genetically modified to no longer live that old. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then the only people that were able to live that old were the people that had transcended those barriers that were set for us genetically or genomically speaking. Because you got to think, why was our lifespan shortened? Think about that. Like, why would the God say, I'm gonna limit man's lifespan to 120 years?
A lot of stuff that happened, probably.
Yep.
A lot of stuff that happened.
Yep, it's your boy DJ Kaushun here. We got ExurtBeatz, Blonju, Genesis to God. We are episode 5, correct?
Yes, sir.
Episode 5. Yeah. We're building, y'all. We're building on the platforms. We are growing as individuals. I'm growing as an individual. I mean, I can't help but not. I mean, these three gentlemen that I'm blessed to be a part of on a Sunday afternoon is definitely enlightening. And sorry if there's an echo, but it's growth. It's growth, and that's what I believe this whole show's about.
Yep.
Yo, been fun. Growth on neutral Earth.
Experiences.
Haha. I
I
like it.
think I don't know. Are we still doing that hour?
Yeah, so yeah.
Okay. Well, I think we should wrap this up. I don't know how you
Yo,
guys
y'all,
feel. You got any closing words? Any
what's
closing
going,
words, Blonju?
what's going on? It's always fun. I enjoy the communion. Go get
Absolutely.
that beautiful is out.
That's
It's
right.
ExurtBeatz, DJ Kaushun on the beat. Go get that Kumari Kandam, that Nejma Nefertiti Blonju 4-song EP dropped on Friday as well. Shout out Nejma, the queen. Yo, Eyes Low dropped a record Friday. I'm on that. There's a bunch of people we know on there. Grandsum is on there. Eyes Low, that's EIZLO. Eyes Low off the West Coast, the left coast. And Genesis to God and I's Space Rhyme Continuum project is official for 5/5/22, May 5th. So we are pre-orders are available. Y'all can go get that Blonju Genesis to God joint loaded up in your players and ready to go on the night of May 4th into May 5th.
That's what's up. What's up, Jen? Any closing words?
No, not really. It was a
Okay.
great show. I'm glad we got to kick it and do what we do, which is what we do
Yeah.
normally. But I'm just happy to be able to have this conversation in a slightly bigger crowd. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
All right, y'all. Until next week. Exurt, anything to say?
No, just
What
be
you
on the
got?
lookout. Just be on the lookout every Sunday. Gone. 4-bar app. Variants. Square roots.
That's what's up.
Shout out Barshin.
All right,
Then
y'all.
Oh,
too.
and send that beat.
So I got you.
So
Got,
we need Jen needs the Caution beat. I want that. I think it was an ExurtBeatz beat with like a vocal sample in it from like
yes,
4
sir.
before that.
So we got some beats to deliver.
I say
Yeah.
those beats are inside our Gone drive, email drive.
They're in. Jen, you're gonna need to email us those beats. We're like Jen is like we're old school.
All right.
We got Cro-Magnon technology skills.
Hey, we love you guys, man. It was fun. Anybody out there listening, we appreciate y'all, and we'll be back. We'll be gone again.